If you've recently fallen in love with the anime My Next Life as a Villainess and have been dying for more like I have, well, this is my personal top 7 favorite mangas that I would recommend. If you loved how silly and dense a Bakarina can be, would you be surprised if I told you this heroine is even more of a baka than Bakarina? Well, starting off this list is Fiance's observation log of the self-proclaimed villainess. Based on the title, very similar premises where our heroine is reincarnated and remembers her past life and that she is playing the role of the villainess of an Otome game. But unlike Katarina, this heroine decides to just flat out tell her fiance that she's from another world and that she will play the role of villainess perfectly to have their engagement annulled. I found this quite interesting as I've always wondered what would happen if you just flat out tell people that you're from another world. Now, if Joou from My Life as a Villainess is your favorite boy, then you will quite like this male lead. He's the crown prince engaged to our heroine and is so brilliant at everything that life is just too easy to the point of it being boring. Now imagine his fiancée coming up to him and proclaiming that she is a villainess from another world. Oh boy, now that is where the excitement starts with their oh so lovely yet wacky relationship. The most unique aspect to this manga is that everything is told through the perspective of our male lead, the crown prince. This definitely gave a refreshing take from most reincarnation stories, which are normally told through the heroine's perspective. Majority of the story is also set with an academy and exploring the progression of each storyline and relationship from the Otome game. Thus, we don't have much of a reverse harem happening, as like our Bakarina, this girl is more focused on making sure other relationships go well without noticing her own. I would definitely recommend this one if you would like a different perspective of storytelling along with a very baka hero. If you enjoy the overall aesthetics of My Life as a Villainess, then my next recommendation would be Lady Rose Wants to Be a Commoner, as it is done by the same artist. So the manga certainly has a familiar vibe and style to things. I also feel that the story could be the alternative route if Katarina did indeed become a villainess and was banished to her former life, as the manga starts off with our MC Felicia reincarnating as the heroine of the Otome game, who wants to become queen and savior of the world. However, Felicia doesn't want to become queen nor get engaged to this handsome prince, as he was her least favorite character from the Otome game. So when she is bullied by the villainess and false accusations start to occur, she allows that all to happen to ensure her engagement is annulled. And that's how her life as a commoner begins. Firstly, I want to mention how I really like Felicia's character. She's smart and funny, so I really enjoyed her witty dialogue. Considering she is now playing off fruit from the Otome game, as she has changed the course of things, she has to stay on her toes as all the captured targets start reappearing in her life. This made things quite fun as boys just be popping up anytime, anywhere, so big yes to the reverse harem. And if you also enjoyed the girl friendship side to things, don't worry, Lady Rose has that covered as well. There also looks to be an overriding plot to things in regards to the original game going off course, so that will be interesting to explore. I'm really loving the distinctive characters as they all have quite the personality to them, and that creates great dialogue between them. I will say that the romance aspect of things is a bit lacking, as Felicia is actively trying to avoid her love interest, as there are certain dialogues from the Otome game that can trigger the love interest route that she must avoid in order to keep her commoner lifestyle. If you enjoy a more plot-driven story along with great characters, I would absolutely recommend Lady Rose Wants to Be a Commoner. Now, if you're here for the boys, the reverse harem, and the multiple possible ships, this next manga is going to be perfect for you. My Lady Just Wants to Relax starts with our female lead who overworked herself to death in her past life. So when she is reincarnated as the villainess and her engagement is broken, she happily takes this opportunity to live a peaceful life and even opens up a cafe. Now this cafe creates the perfect opportunity for the heroine to meet Beastkin as society doesn't look kindly upon them. Which I don't understand, cause how could you possibly reject these adorable and fluffy yet handsome men? I mean, look at these boys in their beast form. They just be, oh my god, the fluffiest, just wanna freaking hug them. Anyways, back on track. So since society discriminates Beastkin, no restaurant is willing to serve them a good meal. But obviously our lovely heroine doesn't discriminate, so happily opens her cafe for them to relax and get some good grub. And this is where the fun, fluffy and oh so adorable moments happen. You also get your choice of boys, starting us off with the majestic noble lion hottie, then a cutesy friendly jackal, a handsome flirtatious puma, And lucky last but not least, a cheeky bad boy vibe blue wolf beastkin. The heroine is so relatable because she just openly loves the amount of fluffiness happening, which was so me whilst reading this. Oh, if you enjoyed the magical aspect of my life as a villainess, we are also set within a magical world in which our heroine uses summoning magic. The adorable and fluffiness to this manga is already perfect enough, but the plot progression is quite enjoyable itself, further adding to the awesomeness of this series. We not only explore more of our heroine's personality, but also the background story of how she became the villainess. The background story was worth investing into, as it showed how no character is just one-dimensional, even the side characters, which I thought added a deeper layer to each character. I highly recommend this manga if you enjoy anthropomorphic animals along with beautiful artwork, as this is one of my favorite romance mangas. Okay, so far everything I've recommended has been pretty PG-13 and fluffy, but oh goody gumdrops, Path of the Evil Queen brings the hot goods. We are suddenly thrown into a battlefield where a isekai female lead, Milady, realizes she has reincarnated into the body of Her Majesty, currently leading her troops to war. So already the start is quite different and chaotic compared to most stories, which initially piqued my interest. In that moment, Milady works out a plan and achieves victory, but afterwards realizes that the origins of the war was due to the Queen's misgovernment. Milady thus decides to reorganize the ruined country. Now, something small that I absolutely loved about the start of this manga is that when Milady is coming to the realization that she is in the body of a queen, we explore a bit of the previous queen's misgovernment, and I love that because she truly lived like a queen as she had all these pretty boys surrounding her, so the story truly ticks the fantasy of reverse harem. Now, these were more background eye candy, but we do have a main cast of lovely boys that helps Milady out. To tease it a bit, we have a very thirsty mercenary who does treat Milady a bit like a piece of meat, so their interaction can be a bit awkward. We then have a pretty boy who helps Milady come to terms of this world and fulfill her role as queen, and quite the dramatic love story with our last boy, a prince. Now, this author definitely added a nice amount of fan service, as let me just say that you will not need to wait 100 chapters for one kiss to happen. However, as much as I enjoyed the fast progression of the romance, it did feel off as some interactions between the characters just don't make much sense. Considering some amazing plots have been set up, the manga does fail a bit in the character development. I recommend giving this one a shot if you're not too fussed about a weaker female lead and want them fast-paced romance. This next manga, our heroine doesn't reincarnate as a princess or even the evil queen, or even part of the main cast. She freaking reincarnates into an Otome game as a mob character. That's right, you heard me right. Want to read about background character number 4? Well, I am troubled that My Fiancé is a Villain is the perfect manga for you. Just as the title suggests, our female lead, Lysia, managed to pique the interest of the last villain of the Otome game and gets engaged to him. Lysia therefore works to ensure her fiancé doesn't become the villain and end up on the doomed route together. But because of Lysia's interference of the Otome game, the original plot and characters start to change. The most fascinating one being her villain fiancé. Her fiancé becomes the most lovey-dovey, fluffy romantic person, which does remind me how freaking single I am, but this relationship that blossomed from a background character and a main villain is adorable. Lysia also meets with the original villainess of the Otome game, but as she comes to understand the character's true feelings and perspectives, an unpredictable relationship starts instead. This is something I enjoyed from my life as a villainess, as we come to a newfound understanding and appreciation when we are shown something from a different perspective. Lysia is very similar to Katarina, as she makes many positive changes to people's lives due to her open and understanding personality. The story is paced in a similar manner, with us starting from childhood, then proceeding to the academy where the Otome game starts. This is where the chaos begins, as we start to see the changes in the Otome game caused by Lysia, such as another possible character that retains their past memories, which you are going to have to read to find out too. Now, be prepared, as this next manga recommendation will play with your emotions. I'm not a villainess. Just because I can control darkness doesn't mean I'm a bad person. This manga is the darkest themed one compared to the others, so will suit more of a mature audience who can empathize with our characters, as it addresses topics such as racism, bullying, and just plain out asshole other people. The darker themes are immediately set within chapter 1, with how our heroine is reincarnated into the world of the novel she once thread is none other than the villainous Claudia. During her reincarnation, she meets the Dark Spirit King, who decides to put her under his divine protection. As Claudia knows the tragic fate she will meet from reading the novel, she tenaciously works to somehow change her bad ending. However, unlike My Life as a Villainess, the novel isn't a cheat sheet for her, as no matter how hard Claudia tries, people immediately judge her based on her black eyes, dark hair, and brown skin, which is a hallmark of the Dark Spirit King, which everyone fears, including her own parents. Claudia is constantly put in situations where she is ostracized by others just because of her looks, but luckily there are some decent people who don't judge her immediately by her appearance. This includes her lovely brother, yes, just like Keith, two princes, yes, just like Joou and Alan, and a very protective Biffle, yes, just like Mary. What immediately drew me into this story the most was Claudia's character. Seeing a heroine that was very relatable survive her way through such a judgmental society, but not letting any of that affect her and continue to strive headstrong into any situation made her to be a very impressive female lead that I couldn't help but cheer on. Our story continues with Claudia's life at the academy, where I'm further impressed by her kind personality to withstand the cruelest and ridiculous of scenarios. Even though this manga isn't the happiest, fluffy, romantic one, I would still recommend giving it a try, as for me the mature vibes to the manga provided a different type of emotional roller coaster. This lucky last recommendation has one of the coolest boss babe female leads. I'm a villainous daughter, so I'm going to keep the last boss. Exactly as the title says, our female lead is reborn into the world of an Otome game as the villainous Irene. Using the memories of her previous life, she recognizes flags indicating she's en route to the bad end. So she makes a plan to seduce the last boss, the evil King Claude, and make him her lover in hopes to avoid her bad ending. You will find yourself quickly falling for Irene's character, as she is one determined girl. Unlike Baccarina, Irene needs to use her wits to successfully seduce the devilishly handsome King Claude. So unfortunately, no reverse harem happening within the storyline, but trust me, all the characters are packed with personality, and the relationship that gradually blossoms between Irene and Claude is amazing. If you're into hot demon lords that are a bit of a tsundere, then you're going to love our male lead Claude. Watching Irene's attempts at seducing Claude creates the most hilarious moments where we get to see our shy bored Claude get all nervous and blushy over this girl. But these comedic moments are perfectly timed to break down each character's walls, as progressively they realize that they have a lot more in common. To me, the chemistry between two lovable characters was the standout point of this manga. Each aspect of the dialogue could be comedy gold, but also the defining growth moment of their relationship, with the plot alone being filled with great twists and turns. It's hard for me to hint at stuff without spoiling anything, but this manga truly explores the ridiculous hardships a villainess would go through. So if you want the more darker route of My Next Life as a Villainess, this one will be perfect for you. Oh, and another bonus, if you like talking animals, magical creatures, this manga has some of the cutest, fluffiest creatures that will make you go doki doki. That was my top 7 recommendations for mangas like My Next Life as a Villainess. I hope I was able to at least introduce you to one new series to binge read, and if you have any recommendations of your own, do make sure to share with all of us in the comments below. But until next time, make sure you guys stay awesome and peace out.